Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Chuck Braverman. I am your moderator for Westdoc Online. I hope we're online right now. It's hard to tell at the beginning of the show whether we're actually online or not. And it seems like we usually are. We have a really interesting setup this morning with people from all around the world, day and night. We want to try and keep one of our guests awake because it's 1 o'clock in the morning in Hong Kong, where he is. This show today should be pretty unique. If you're interested in anything to do with online, we have four very talented professional camera people that work in different areas and do different things around the world. And in some ways, the internet has brought us all together. And it's interesting, when we were just sort of setting up for the pre-show, one guy was saying, "Hey, I love your work," and everybody kind of knows everybody else from seeing their work online. And I think one of the elements that is bringing people together in a good way, in some ways, is YouTube, where somebody can post in New York, and in 10 minutes, people around the world can see it. And there are some people, for example, like Casey Neistat, who is in my opinion, a phenomenon, who, he posts 5 days a week, excuse me, and he gets, 1 million, 2 million views within 24 hours, which means to me that more people are watching Casey than are watching most of the network television around the world. And his influence was obvious by the fact that CNN bought a small app company that he had for $25 million. And even though that didn't really work out for CNN, Casey is back online doing his thing. And so let me introduce you to our group of fascinating, talented cinematographers, filmmakers that are with us from around the world. In the upper left-hand corner, we have Josh Enbakahara. Did I pronounce that right, Josh? Or no, I didn't.
No, it's all good. Eno Bakare.
Eno Bakare. Sorry,
Eno
Josh.
Bak.
I'll get it by the end. And in the upper right-hand corner, we have Tom. And Josh is outside of Los Angeles. And
I'm actually pretty close to Chuck right now.
Yeah, not that far away, ironically. And you can talk about your move to another world in a minute, in a little while. In the upper right-hand corner, we have Tom Antos, who I've been following also for a long time online. And Tom is coming to us from New York City, Tom?
Yep.
That's right. Okay. Moving right along is Brandon Lee, who is in the lower left-hand corner. Brandon, who is, I hope, more than half awake, is in Hong Kong in a hotel room, and it's now 1:30 in the morning in Hong Kong, when it's 9:30 here in LA. Good morning. And Eric Naso in the middle bottom there is coming to us from San Diego, who is a creative development person at the San Diego NBC station, and I've been following Eric for a long time. Also been following all you guys, so it's really exciting to have you here. I'm hearing somebody tapping on the microphone. I don't know who that is. So as long as we're just going around the circle here, I think we should talk a little bit. Let's see what Casey has to say about being online in a very short 30-second clip here. Let's see what.
Success on YouTube still means a life of poverty. I'm reading to you from Bloomberg. This is the lead of the article. This is the first sentence in the article. Do your children dream of YouTube stardom? Do them a favor. Crush that ambition now. This is an article. It's actually not a bad article. And Chris Stokel Walker, I don't actually mean It's about new research out of Germany, billed as among the first to review the chances of making it in the new Hollywood, i.e. making it on YouTube. It presents all kinds of objective data like 96.5% of all of those trying to become YouTubers won't make enough money off of advertising to crack the US poverty line.
So I think that was atypical of what you see of the kind of videos that Casey makes, which are really terrific and very creative and fun and entertaining. But the point that we're trying to make here is how tough it is. And of course, he is not a good example of somebody who's fighting poverty. And I'm curious of what any of you have to say about of what it's like working on trying to get viewers at YouTube. Anybody want to just jump out and start about YouTube? Josh, you have a lot of followers.
Yeah. So I'll say this, like, you cannot rely on Google AdSense as far as your money, unless you're getting like 1 million followers and you're posting every day. You're getting 1 million followers per video and you're posting every day. I think on average it's like a dollar per 1,000. So, you know, you do the math. And so I feel like the main way people make money, as far as as far as the people that are my peers, as far as like the whole video production tutorial business, is they sell like digital products or they have sponsorships. Yeah, anything but Google AdSense.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would have to say, like, from my own experience, that I think there's two ways of making money on YouTube. Google AdSense, but then it's, like was already mentioned, you're kind of going then after the views. So you're pretty much doing stuff, maybe not necessarily the best quality stuff, but you're just doing stuff that is going to go viral or have a chance of going viral. And that has the broadest reach, to the biggest audience. And then there's the other side where you're doing stuff that maybe is more like a niche market. You're not going to be getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views, but you're maybe have more of an effect, and you can actually have, I would say, more of a pool, and actually, make people want to go and click outside of YouTube and whether it's buy something or subscribe to another online service or things like that. I would say that's the through affiliate links and all that stuff. That's the other way of doing things.
What's the difference between AdSense and just having views on YouTube?
Well, you can have a lot of views that are not monetized, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. Is depends where your views are coming from. Like if you have views in countries where advertisers don't really want to advertise, then you're definitely not going to make a lot of money. Whereas I would say, from my experience, if your main audience is in the United States, you're going to get the biggest advertising dollars, I think. But again, you're still talking about, like Josh said, like you're basically counting around $1. Sometimes it can go to $2 for 1,000 views. So to make $1,000, you got to be getting like 1 million views, a month, or 10 million views for $10,000 a month, and things like that.
How does the filmmaker keep track of any of that, or do you rely on YouTube?
So YouTube has a really, sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
I didn't have that much to add, actually. I was just going to say I don't really know as far as keeping track of that. Yeah, I mean, YouTube, like I've always considered YouTube to be kind of from my normal filmmaking. Like YouTube is a different, it's sort of like the sandbox for me, I guess, to experiment with, like, just make videos that don't take as long as maybe some of the other stuff that I would post on my Vimeo page, or work that I do that's branded or with clients. YouTube is kind of a place where I can make a video in a day and post it and get feedback and get some views, and or talk about gear and things like that, and have the sort of feedback cycle be really quick. And so that's kind of how I viewed YouTube, not so much as a business, but more sort of like a side, like a hobby.
I would say once you keep on doing it, the stuff that you're doing, Brandon, it's going to become a business. You're going to see.
Well,
you're doing great stuff,
I felt that.
I've seen you work, and
I felt that at first with YouTube when I started posting regularly after maybe about 6 months of posting regularly. But now it's been a year and a half or something, I think, since I started posting fairly regularly, and I kind of actually see it like my interest in YouTube kind of dipping a bit, where I don't know exactly what would make me really want to make a business out of my YouTube channel, because you just have to make videos so quickly to monetize in any way. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust the framing. I'm not on a ship or anything. So you just have to churn out videos so quickly, and it's hard for me to do what I feel is my best work in the amount of time that you have to do it to post on YouTube and keep the AdSense or affiliate cycle going.
Are you saying though that your interest is dropping, or your audience's interest? Like
my personal interest in in just producing videos, kind of like churning out multiple videos a week. For me, it stops being fun if I'm on a clock.
Yeah, it can get annoying, repetitive, and all that stuff. I guess it just comes down to your own preference. But if you find,
my preference is Vimeo.
You know,
that's my preference.
Oh,
I want to
really?
post like 3 videos a year on Vimeo, and just spend a ton of time on each video. And just like if there was a way to monetize that directly, rather than that just leading to other like client work, if the Vimeo videos were in any way directly monetizable in an effective way, then I would totally just be on Vimeo, I think, because that's
how would you
for me, that's
differentiate?
paradise.
How would you differentiate to the person who is not obsessed with online videos and comes to Vimeo and YouTube casually, the difference between YouTube and Vimeo?
I realize Vimeo
I'll tell you
is
right
still
off the
kind
bat
of
what I
an
think
esoteric thing. Yeah, go ahead.
For me, it's a lot of the audience is so different. Vimeo is a little more, I think, connected towards the filmmaker, the DP, the lighting guys, where there's a lot less trolling on there, where YouTube is kind of like the playground in a lot of ways, where there's a lot of trolling, a lot of down, voting, and it's like a popularity contest in a lot of ways. I don't think the audience quality is the same as it is on Vimeo, but I think it's also how are you trying to represent or present your content. And if it's about making money and about being a YouTube star, then you're going to have to be on YouTube and putting up videos three days a week on a consistent time schedule. And that's a pretty big pill to swallow if you're already working full time doing other things, or if you're just on the move. So people that are really dedicated to making a YouTube channel have to also be dedicated to a pretty strict time slot and letting their viewers know exactly when their content is going to be delivered. And for me personally, I dabbled a little bit in vlogging. I found it interesting. I don't feel the energy I could have on 3 days a week running around trying to be that interesting, because to be honest with you guys, I'm just not that interesting. I just be making stuff up just to get people to watch, and that's not my thing. I don't want to be a popular YouTuber. I like to look at myself more as someone who wants to share their knowledge. I want to be able to do reviews of equipment and have an opinion. Those are things that I'm more interested in, as opposed to running around shooting selfie video and trying to be entertaining. But that seems to be the trend right now. And I'll be honest with you, I think Casey is probably the best I've ever seen do it. And everyone has to somewhat emulate him, because he's kind of like the guy, right? He's the one who's really spearheaded the vlogging. And I would say everyone else is just it's kind of boring. They're not that interesting. It feels very forced. It's like a bad comedy, it's like the lines aren't funny and it's a rotating thing. So I don't know how long vlogging in that art form is going to stay successful, but I do think that the channels that are offering content that's informative, educational, I think that real content like that is going to grow on YouTube, as well as some probably narrative stuff that they're experimenting with. And YouTube's growing up. It's becoming a network. They want to compete with all the cable channels and local channels, and you can see it happening. It's just I still think they got a long ways to go, but
I beg to differ with you only in that I think YouTube has already surpassed the networks in many, many ways, and I think they're a force to be reckoned with, and I think that the writing is on the wall for the networks. Let's take a short, just a 30-second look at one of your clips here, Eric, and maybe we can talk about it. I want to show
comes in a bicolor model as well. The Aperture Tri-8 is a really well thought out and designed light. It has 888 LEDs packed in a really solid housing. A pretty nice upgrade to the HR672. It also has good battery life. With the included 2 batteries, you get about 2 hours of runtime. That's pretty good for this amount of LEDs packed in this thing. Now you can also use a gold mount or a V mount. You just put the adapter on the back and you're ready to go. The light is also really punchy. I was able to use it in the shade to get a little bit of fill on my...
So...
Well, that guy talks a lot.
This was done, actually, it looks for News Shooter, right?
Yes.
Or DSLR News
No,
Shooter. It's had the logo on there, didn't it?
Actually, I might have done that one for my own blog, but I've been with News Shooter for now almost a year, so I can't quite remember. I think that one fit right almost in between the transition period.
Do you want to tell us briefly about News Shooter?
Sure. Newsshooter.com is a website for all things production, video production. We do dabble in some smaller cameras, but they generally will have to have a video aspect to them. Me and Matt Allard we write a lot of reviews. We get products as much as we can. Sometimes we buy them to do the reviews because it's not always easy to get companies to send you the kind of equipment that you might want to be testing. So we'll just buy it. I know I have. Don't tell my wife that, but she around.
Get it from Best Buy and return it. Return it.
Yeah, I've done that.
Watch what you say. Watch what you say online.
That's the dark side.
Oh yeah.
Well, so in an effort to
I've heard it's done.
In an effort to show another video and to make sure that Brandon stays awake, let's take a look at a piece of what Brandon does.
We got kids jumping in the water. I'm gonna try to get some shots of them without myself ending up in the water.
Let me know when you're ready. Go!
You want to tell us a little bit about what that was about and how that came about? And
that was me on vacation. That was in Cebu in the Philippines. I was just hanging out, and there were a couple of local video guys that I was hanging out with, and they wanted to take me to this neighborhood that they thought would be cool for shooting. So they brought a little GoPro and a gimbal, and I took out my camera and I just filmed some stuff, and they filmed me filming. And that's kind of how I generate a lot of what I put on YouTube. It's usually sort of a piece of some other project I'm working on whenever I post something on YouTube, or it's like an experiment with a new piece of gear, or just, some sort of a test, and I'll put it together with some technical information and some insight into my feelings on the gear I'm using or the place I'm visiting. And then sometimes I'll also post like the larger project when it's finished. Like I did a video about the Semana Santa, the Catholic festival in Spain, and I did some behind the scenes stuff, and then I posted the final video on YouTube, and I also posted on Facebook and Vimeo.
What's your website, Brandon? Where do you want people to go to see your work?
They can see my work on vimeo.com/rungunshoot. That's sort of my portfolio. I also have my own URL, but most of the better stuff I've done is on Vimeo. So it's vimeo.com/run-gun-shoot.
Is it run N, the letter N?
Yeah.
Or just, run N
Yeah.
gun, no space.
Oh, just RUNGUNSHOOT, all one word. Yeah.
Before we get too far down the line, I want to let people know that we have actual sponsors for this show, and I want to thank them for their loyal support. And the first one is Pond 5. If you need stock footage, or if you need After Effects, or if you need music, they're an incredible source that you can go to, and without registering or spending a dime, you can look around their site. You can download watermarked clips and use them, and then when you're ready to finish your project, log in. If you want a 10% discount, use the code Westdoc18. The other sponsor, which I love, is LumaForge. They're at LumaForge, I think .net or .com. Sorry, .com. They're the filmmakers that got into the hardware business, and they make incredible external hard drives really geared to filmmakers, whether you're on Final Cut 10 or Premiere Pro or Avid. Their prices are fabulous. The speed of their hard drives are great. I use them. And as a matter of fact, this show is the first one I'm doing on this new software, and I almost hate to admit it because I'm a hardcore Mac guy, but I'm on a PC right now, and I hooked up my external Jellyfish, which is from LumaForge, which I have on the other side of the room on my Mac. I just called them up and said, how do I do this? And they, remotely, I have the Jellyfish now hooked up here. So all those videos are feeding from the Jellyfish. Don't ask me how it works, but it just works. Eric, tell us about just some of the work that you do at the NBC station in San Diego briefly, and then we're going to let Tom speak a little bit.
My job here is I'm a DP in creative services. What does that mean? Well, I shoot image spots for the news department. Basically, I'm in the station. They're like my product. So we do promos, and they are oriented towards telling the community that they should watch us for these reasons, and that we're an awesome news product. And that's kind of what I've been doing for many, many years. I don't shoot commercials. I just shoot image spots, and it's fun. It's kind of the same product over and over again, and we always find new ways of packaging it. And that makes it a challenge because, well, it's kind of the same thing. It's all about integrity and journalism, and we're giving the viewing audience the best product that they can get. They have choices, and we want you to watch us. So that's kind of what I do, and it's fun because I have access to new equipment, and I do like to use this new equipment while I'm working. So it actually gives me an opportunity to really test these products, whether they be lights or gimbals or lenses, even some cameras. So I don't recommend people do that very often because you get new equipment and you don't want to really test it out on projects. That's kind of like the big no-no, but I don't follow my own advice. I do get a little bit of hands-on time before I actually put them to work, but I've been pretty successful at doing it, and I enjoy it a lot. I love lighting, so that's kind of one of my big contributions to what I'm doing, and it's a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Tom, I've been following you for a long time, and you seem to have a handle on all the latest gear. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be. For some reason, I thought you were in Toronto, but if you're based out of New York, maybe because I saw you walking around, it's stuck in my mind.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you do it, and then we'll.
You mean like how I started, or?
Well, I'd love to know a little bit about how you started and what you're doing, and how much of your business do you think it depends on being online, and how much of it is I know you're a freelance cinematographer, and I know you have a strong background in FX also, and I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, actually, like I started my film career, you could say. After high school, basically, I was looking for a job, and I always liked to draw. So I got into animation. I kind of spent a few months learning animation and that kind of stuff, and I applied for a bunch of jobs. So my first job in film industry was actually working on a feature film as an animator, and then I kind of through there I worked on a whole bunch of films doing like animation or visual effects. But I was just one little member in like a huge production, and these were all like big Hollywood productions. So that's what I'm saying. It's like it was fun work, but at the same time because it's such a collaborative thing, and working as an animator, or later on I worked as a visual effects supervisor. You're still just like one little piece of this film. So eventually, I decided to kind of start my own production company, quit the comfortable job working for the effects industry, and wanted to do my own films, like basically tell my own stories. So mainly working as a director and as a writer, but then I kind of got into cinematography because I had to teach myself literally to shoot a lot of my films, because I realized when I started my own production company that it's not so easy to, if you want to finance or make your own films, and a lot of times working on very low budgets, I had to take on multiple tasks. So that's kind of how I got into it. YouTube, I kind of fell into by accident. Just I was posting work like for other people that I was collaborating on, basically various projects, films, commercials on YouTube, and that was in 2006. And other people started watching the videos. I had no idea that other people were watching that stuff. They started asking me questions. So then, long story short, basically I started answering people's questions and putting more videos. And then I did for about 2 years, I did this whole YouTube thing, doing like those viral videos with like all these top YouTubers at the time, and it was fun. But I kind of got bored of doing like pumping out 1 or 2 videos a week, and also just I just wanted to concentrate on other things, like kind of more long form kind of films. So since then, YouTube has always been a part of what I do, simply because it's kind of, I guess for me, it's kind of addictive. It is part of my business, but it's not the main part of the business, and it's but I guess for me what's fun is getting you're actually seeing the interaction with people, seeing what people think, and that's actually, I would say, the difference between Vimeo. I was on Vimeo for a while. I found Vimeo was because it was too many just like other filmmakers or people who wanted to get into an industry. I was getting I wasn't getting honest feedback. I felt like on it. There was a lot of people who were and actually there were some people who would leave comments on my videos, like really nice comments, and then after they would message me like, hey, could I work with you on a film, or do you have a job for me, and things like that. So I kind of felt like YouTube, there were people there from all walks of life who don't really care whether they offend you or not, so they were more honest. Now you do get some people who are just completely rude, but that was the one thing I guess I enjoyed about YouTube. And so kind of, like I said, I stuck around, but yeah, it might be hard for people to believe, but there's actually other things I do outside of YouTube. But YouTube is a big part of what I do. Like I said, it's mainly because I enjoy doing it. So
I'm looking at your YouTube page right now on the other screen, and I had forgotten, but I'm amazed that, and I say that in a complimentary, nice way. You have 267,000 subscribers. That's a huge number. And so when you post, how did you build up that number, do you think?
A lot of it is not the audience that maybe is now, like I would say, my core audience right now. A lot of it are those people who kind of left over from the days when I was doing those viral videos. Like my number one video is this Angry Birds, real life Angry Birds. It was like this little short film we did with a bunch of other YouTubers. And, it was fun. I did a bunch of these videos, but like I said, like to this day, I'll have sometimes kids. I remember I was like at some events even, and I had kids come up to me and be like, when are you going to do, another Angry Birds video? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I'll let you know. Because it's not something, like I said, it's that I'm really interested in doing right now. It might change. I have kids now of my own, and I'm actually getting more interested in doing more content or films for kids. So I might be doing more stuff like that. But that's what I mean. It's like, and I think sometimes that's where YouTube, or I guess any kind of, like, once you build a business around something and you get this popularity, and like I said, when I was doing stuff, like when I was really active on YouTube doing those viral videos, that was 2011, 2012. you build this audience, and you'll have these videos that get 5, 6, 10 million views, and it's all great and fun, but you kind of end up also, or at least some people I've seen, end up becoming slaves to that, because they do a certain amount of certain type of content, and then they try doing something different, and their core audience on their YouTube channel, for example, is not interested in doing you doing other things. So it kind of, I experienced that a little bit, like when I stopped doing those, like I said, viral videos, and I wanted to do kind of more serious films or do some stuff that was just like about filmmaking in general. Oh, I was getting a lot of hate from my own subscribers. People telling me, "Hey, get back to doing Angry Bird videos."
Well, I don't have any Angry Bird videos that you made, but I have a little clip here that I'm going to run now, and let's take a look at what we have here.
And everything that I kind of carry with me is actually in this backpack that I have. Everything fits in here. All my lenses, accessories, batteries, and all that stuff, my microphones. Now today I kind of wanted to concentrate more on the lenses and kind of give you an advice. Let's say maybe you're thinking about purchasing this camera, or you just got the camera and you're not sure what's the first kind of things you should invest in. Definitely I would say you want a nice set of lenses. So the first lens would be this kit lens. This is the 16 to 50 millimeter Sony lens, and it's not the best, meaning it's not the fastest lens, but it's sharp enough for 4K video. What I love about it is that it's small, as you can see up here, also very light, and the autofocus actually works pretty damn well with this camera. So this is kind of actually my go-to lens whenever I throw this camera up on a gimbal. It just locks on the faces, and I know I'm getting a focus pretty much most of the time spot on. And I would also recommend just getting this lens because especially if you're buying the camera now, let's say, and you see it as a kit, because when you buy this lens as a kit, you're gonna save yourself a lot of money.
I hope it's a dope music video, whatever that was.
Oh, thanks.
Digging the steam coming out of the ground. That's cool.
I was like, I want to recreate that.
I love the fact that you talk about the different lenses because, I search around too and want to see reviews about different cameras, and I like the fact that people are online talking about the cameras, and I think for the most part they don't really have an axe to grind per se. You're being candid and honest, especially if you bought the camera yourself. How many of you four guys are you buying cameras with your own hard dollars, or are you getting cameras for free, and then do you feel some obligation to the people, or what? How does that work?
Spending too much money.
Yeah, I buy them.
Brandon,
and then I'll sell them.
That'd be dope. Sorry.
It's some of each. Yeah, some of each. But I never like if I get a camera for free, it's never in exchange for a review. It's usually in exchange for content. So they'll want me to make a video with it, but not necessarily talk about it specifically in a review. With other gear like gimbals, I've gotten a lot of free gimbals just to review, and I'm generally pretty honest, and I don't feel any obligation whatsoever to leave a positive review for a gimbal if it's not working for me, because I don't want to give anybody bad advice on gear, and I tell the manufacturers, look, if you want to send me a unit, I'll tell my audience exactly what I think of it. I'll take it out for several days. I'll do extensive testing with it. But beyond that, I'm not going to promise an endorsement. So I feel like that's kind of the only honest way to go.
I loved seeing this shot with you with the monopod, with the gimbal on top of the monopod, because I have one of those little gimbals. I've never even thought about putting it on a monopod, and I saw the shots that you got and dipping down into the water. And what was so great about that was, seeing how you were getting a shot, and then seeing the shot. And if you hadn't seen you'd think, my gosh, the guy has a crane or Luma crane or something, and it's like a huge rig and 42 guys. And no, it's just a little. Let's take a look at another video that is similar but different from Josh.
So why have I now decided to sometimes just put away the stabilizer and just shoot handheld? I'm going to give you 6 reasons. Shooting handheld just frees you up. It allows you to go into set and act on any spontaneous idea that you have without having to worry about a complex setup beforehand. And step into that. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, good. Shooting handheld, of course, allows you to shoot in small places. Shooting handheld allows you to do these tight revolve around shots that I love doing. That's almost impossible to do with a huge bulky stabilizer. Shooting handheld just kind of gives you a less conspicuous look, so you're able to avoid the permit police if you're, say, shooting in downtown LA. It just saves time in general. You don't have to have any setup. You can just pick up your camera and just start shooting. It's actually a lot less intimidating for your actors, you'll realize, if you come into their space with kind of a minimalized setup and you don't have a lot of crazy gear. It's also really easy to adjust focus when you shoot handheld. If you wanted to adjust focus when you're doing the Ronin, you'd have to buy like a really expensive follow focus unit. But most importantly, shooting handheld just encourages your on-set thought process to flourish. Your camera almost becomes an extension of your body without having this large, bulky stabilizer kind of getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
I like the way you move the camera when you're shooting handheld, because that's kind of a big deal. Those are great examples on how to do it correctly and why. And that's a really nice example. A lot of people, they'll shoot handheld for the wrong reasons, and you gave them all the right reasons to shoot handheld. So it's very good.
Nice.
Nice job.
I felt like that was like how I used to shoot. And then when all these gimbals that, when the $10,000 Movi got recreated, I had like the $1,500, Ronin option, and I was like, oh, I can finally afford a gimbal. I was all about, the electronic gimbals, and, even when I even got more into the professional field and I could start renting, nice dollies and stuff, I realized that those were great for like kind of more established shoots that were more organized, but for those like lifestyle shoots that you're doing every day, it's like, it just takes too much time, and you aren't able to be as creative,
Yeah, the setup time is definitely a pain.
Josh, tell us a little bit about your background and where can people see your work online. And I know you're a teacher, and you can tell us a little bit about that, please, and what you do.
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel. It's Olufemi Tutorials. It's obviously a tutorial channel, so teaching. I kind of got into that through teaching at Santa Barbara City College. It's a small community college up here. I taught there for 3 years, 2 courses, one in video production and then another one in video editing. And it was kind of through that I realized, oh wow, like I can teach. I know all the head knowledge, but I really learned through that time how to like actually, teach. And so I started the YouTube channel. At the same time, I'm always doing like freelance work, and my biggest passion is short form stuff. So YouTube videos, lifestyle videos, of course, maybe even short films, but I kind of differ from, I feel like, everyone else that I know, in that I'm not using these short form options to graduate into being a feature film director. Maybe it's an immaturity thing, but that's always, I could do music videos forever, I feel like. And so I felt like I cater to that market, or that target market in my channel, where you can't learn how to edit sync transitions, or you can now actually, but I remember when I started 2 years ago, there was no such thing as like hip hop music video transitions or any really kind of transition tutorials, I felt like, out there. And so I kind of started teaching I started teaching online to kind of fill in the vacuum that was there as far as people that couldn't learn stuff in school, I guess.
Well, first of all, let's spell it so people will know. It's Olufemi.
Yeah, it's Nigerian.
Olufemi.com, right? Olufemi.com. And I just went to the site to take a look at it, and I noticed, which I've looked at it before, but I didn't notice, or I wasn't thinking about, you have a half a dozen or more logos of companies. Are these sponsors? Or, I mean, you have Coca-Cola and some other companies.
I need to redo my website. Those are all just companies I've done like work for. Like,
I see.
Honestly, I'd love to update it, because I feel like I've done even cooler stuff. Like, that was probably from like 4 years ago. I put that I made that.
And is that just you, or are there
uh,
other people on that site also?
It's just me. Like, so it's my portfolio site. So all the stuff on that site, you know, I've pretty much DP'd and edited, done the VFX for, but that was from like a few years ago. I need to update it a little bit because now, you know, I've been very much kind of like what Tom was saying, as far as I've worked on huge projects where I was kind of like a smaller element of the production process, like VFX, post, worked with a lot of, you know, big A-list hip hop artists, random projects throughout the years, doing like 3 music videos actually this month on kind of a really grand to really low scale. So I'm still trying to like keep my freelance. I'm trying to continue being in the industry instead of just doing teaching, just so I'm always fresh, you know, as far as new ideas to teach.
You also told me something, having listened to what you just said, you told me something kind of startling about your travel plans, right? You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I'm going against all conventional wisdom and moving to Australia from LA. So I lived here in LA like my whole life, and everyone always asks me, why are you moving to Australia? And so I'm currently dating someone over there, and I just think it would be a cool thing to figure out how to survive in a new country. I've been working full time up until 6 months ago, and 6 months ago I started doing YouTube full time, where that was like my main form of income, plus whatever freelance stuff I'd be able to get, you know. And so this is definitely a leap of faith in a lot of ways. I'm literally exiting, like all my contacts are in LA. Like it's interesting, so it'll be cool.
I guess.
We're in Australia. Where in Australia?
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Okay, cool.
So like Queensland, yeah. A little bit closer to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Relatively speaking, right? Yeah. Only 10 hours, 11 hours by plane away. Yeah.
Well, remind me.
16.
I have a friend there, and his name is Tristan Bayer. If he's online and watching, maybe he can get in touch and help you. When are you going to be over there? When are you leaving?
The end of the month, the 28th to be exact. I'm going to be out. So
this month.
Awesome.
This month, yeah. I'm going to be doing post for my last project over there. So slowly transitioning.
Are you going to do music videos in Australia? Have you scouted that out?
That'd be dope. I don't have any contacts over there. I have so many, like, I'm gonna end up flying back to the US for a lot of projects I'm seeing. I already have one like shoot scheduled where I'm gonna kind of jump over and get it done and jump back. But hopefully Australia becomes like a really. No, it's not. But hey, it'll be great. It'll be an adventure.
No, Australia is awesome. It's like my favorite place I've ever been. You're gonna love it there.
I've been a few times. I love it. Great country.
Yeah, it's so great. Yeah.
Brandon, tell us about your travels and how every time I see you on YouTube or Vimeo, you seem to be in a different location, a different country. I mean, how does that work? I mean, explain it to me, please.
Well, I'm a nomad, so basically it's, fancy word for being homeless. I've been living out of hotels and service departments and stuff for about 5.5 years now. So I just travel around and I stay in a place as long as I have work or I feel like staying, and then I just kind of move on. So I've spent a lot more time in Hong Kong than any other place, though, for the past couple years. But prior to that, I was moving generally every 2 weeks from one city to the next, just to either explore a new place or to sort of be closer to where my next gig is. And I just kept up that pattern for a number of years. I've slowed down a bit, but I'm still kind of, I'll average that to travel outside of Hong Kong once a month or so at least. I'm going to be gone for a few months, I think, starting in a couple days. I'm just going to Vietnam next. So, yeah, it's just kind of journeyman lifestyle, I guess. And it's good for inspiration. It inspires me to shoot when I get to a new place because I stop taking surroundings for granted. And if I stay in a place too long, I just, I walk outside and I don't get that rush of like ideas that I do when I first arrive there. So that's kind of what keeps me going. It's, it's creatively inspiring to travel.
So you cut everything on a laptop in a hotel room mostly?
Yeah, generally. Yeah, just on a MacBook Pro that feels like it's aging, even though it's only a year and a half old. But yeah, I just use little portable, like the Seagate, 4 terabyte hard drives. I have a big stack of them, like, I don't know, a dozen by now that I travel with. And I back up everything to the cloud. I have a Google Drive that has unlimited storage. And yeah, the MacBook Pro running Final Cut Pro. And that's about it for post. That's everything. I do all my effects and all my color grading and sound mixing all within Final Cut Pro.
What
and
happened?
if it needs something better than that, like for a client, they go to a mastering place and I just give them a ProRes file or something.
What about audio mixing?
Yeah, like if we need a professional audio mastering job, I'll just export stems and they'll take the stems to somebody to put tools or something.
What do you ever have issues when you're coming into a different country with I don't know how many cameras and what kind of gear do you travel with, and is that an issue or problem?
Yeah.
What do you do?
It's a pain. I mean, usually not too many issues, but just getting through the metal detector can be a real pain, especially in transit, because sometimes the place that I departed from and my stopover will have different weight limits or different regulations regarding what can go on that flight after the transfer. That's usually the worst point, because I'm not at home, so I can't just like leave it or drive home or anything, or give it to somebody to take home. I'm sort of in between two places, and I have to figure out a way to get my gear past security or on the plane, or move it from carry-on into luggage or something, just to pass the regulations and to get to my destination. So yeah, it's usually when I have a stopover that I have the most trouble with gear. Like I have had to throw away batteries and stuff on several because I was allowed to fly with the batteries, but I wasn't allowed to get on my connecting flight with the batteries.
Dang, that's painful.
Wow.
Yeah, a Hyperjuice, like a $500 Hyperjuice for my MacBook Pro. One of those big, like, with 30,000 milliamp hour batteries. This was several years ago, but I just had to throw it in the trash when I went through Beijing.
Ugh.
That was my only way to get through Beijing. Yeah, they were just like, nope, that goes in the, or it goes home. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not going to mail it from the airport back home, so let's say goodbye to this.
They were concerned about the safety, batteries exploding.
Just a rule. I don't know what the reason was for the rule, but they just, they looked at the battery, they saw the wattage of it, and they said this can't fly. So I was allowed to get into Beijing,
Brandon,
but yeah, there's another security checkpoint there.
It's a big hassle to travel with batteries. It's like every airline it's not the same like right across, like you were mentioning. One company will say you can only carry a 100-watt battery. The other one says you can have 5 150-watt batteries if you cover the contacts, and then if you're flying two different airlines like you were, that's a mess. And then they all have their standards, and
and when it's like algorithmically put together, like your flight, because the flight booking sites will just sort of computer generate a connection for you that is made of like sometimes 2 or even 3 different airlines that have no communication with each other. Then it can just be an utter disaster because you'll be mismatched. Airline A will be totally cool, airline B might be totally cool, but then airline C, your last leg of your flight, suddenly has a completely different set of rules, and now you're 2/3 of the way there, so there's no going back. So yeah, sometimes stuff ends up in the trash, which actually is one reason why I like to use commodity gear that can be bought locally in almost any country. Like Sony batteries and stuff are great for that. I can't imagine if I was traveling with a Red or something really proprietary and niche, what I would do in a situation like that if I had to toss out my batteries before I got to my destination. I guess I would just source Red batteries. I don't know.
Yeah, you have to throw away a $600 battery every time you travel. That's going to get expensive.
Yeah, I'd much rather throw away the $10 knockoff Sony batteries that you can get, from Amazon or something. Maybe 3 out of 4 that you order work, but whatever, they're so cheap. You just kind of take the loss. Yeah.
So you don't have a home base or a place that you just go to totally wind down, or
Mom's house, I guess, but it's not my house. I just stay in her guest room if I go there. I usually see her a couple times a year, or my dad's place. But no, I'm fully nomadic. I have only enough stuff that I can travel with, and outside of that, a little bit of extra stuff in the storage unit now in Hong Kong. A lot of that is gear that I tested that I don't want to travel with, and I don't want to throw it away. So I've got a bunch of gimbals now sitting in the storage unit. But yeah, other than that, I don't have furniture. I don't have anything particularly heavy. I don't have a car. So I just pick up and leave, and what I've got with me is what I've got.
And how do you take care of paying bills when you're going from country to country? Is it you do a lot of it online, or
yeah, online.
Credit cards?
My bills. Yeah, credit card. My bills tend to be local. If I book a hotel, I just book through the U.S. dollar site for the hotel, or if I book something local, I'll just pay with my credit card on site. So in Hong Kong, I have a travel rewards visa from Bank of America that lets me, pay in Hong Kong dollars, and I get sort of a mid-market rate on the exchange and a few extra travel points that help to make up for any losses. That could like points I can cash in. So anyway, yeah, I have a card that gives me more or less parity with U.S. dollar when I use it abroad, and that's how I've been kind of surviving there. I would love to have local bank accounts in different countries, because ultimately that's the best way to spend money and to save money if you don't want to pay any exchange fees or deal with any hassles with like foreign credit cards and stuff. But it also it gets harder the more I travel, because credit card companies and basically any industry like that monitor security does not like it when suddenly in Croatia, whereas last week you were in like Abu Dhabi or something. They don't like that at all. And especially PayPal. Good luck trying to use PayPal in a country like Croatia. They're just like, screw you. You don't get money. You can't send money. PayPal is not convenient if you're anywhere in Central or Eastern Europe. So cash is king.
I once took a crew of about, I forget, 8 or 10 guys to South America, to Brazil. And we were fine the first week, and then we changed locations or something, and suddenly my credit card was no good. Of course, the credit card was fine, but the credit card company, somebody decided, hey, there's charges coming from Brazil here, and he lives in Los Angeles. And what a hassle to, when you're out in the boonies, basically, and the communication is difficult. Yeah, that's really tough. And
it can be scary, huh? Because then
I've
you
learned
realize
you have to
without
call
this piece
them.
of plastic, you have no money.
Even the other thing that's amazing though, that you can be out in total boonies and there's an ATM machine, and you put this piece of plastic and you get local currency out of it.
That is incredible.
It actually works. Let's go around here, sort of wrap up. I'm curious if anybody has. Let's just make once around, and let's start with Tom, because he's in New York and it's probably snowing pretty heavily outside, and he wants to go out and build a snowman. Do you have any?
No, I don't want to go out.
Any wrap up in terms of? Do you want to say about your favorite piece of camera gear briefly, or YouTube? Anything
the
that
favorite piece of gear is the one you have. That's all I'm going to say. Because people concentrate too much on gear and what they should get and that kind of stuff, and I share my advice and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, there's new cameras, new things, new gimbals coming out. Just whatever you have, if it works, just keep on using it. As far as advice, I mean, YouTube, if you want to do YouTube and be successful in YouTube, or I guess doing any online thing, you got to do it as a business. You got to do it constantly, consistently. But just be ready that's going to be your job. If you want to be a filmmaker and make films, which is not necessarily the same thing as doing YouTube, then concentrate on that. Just do films, and you're going to meet people and all that stuff. But I think, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it is that you want to do. Just do it and devote most of your time to it. If you're going to do it, then you're gonna get successful at it, even if you're not so good at the beginning, because I guess repetition, you'll get better and better. That's pretty much my advice.
Tom Antos, what's your favorite piece of gear this week, and any words of wisdom? I'm sorry, Eric
me?
Naso. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Eric. Thank you, Tom.
Oh, wow. Well, I think the new cameras that are coming out are really interesting. I love that codecs are getting better, offering more like 10-bit and just everything seems to be getting a little bit more higher quality. It's kind of blurring the line between professional cameras and consumer cameras, which, in the end, we all win, because if you can get a camera that costs $1,500 that could give you some excellent results, that's liberating for people that can't afford to buy a $15,000 camera. But, to me, because I like to review equipment and test lighting out and stuff like that, I get to see the advancements, but again, the most important part of all this stuff is craft and learning from other people and taking things that they do and making it your own. And there's so many different ways to tell a story. There's so many different ways to light your subjects, and also how to capture sound. Which I'm going to give kudos to Brandon, because I think he does a fantastic job. The way he scores all of his videos, they're wonderful. It's not just about the video. He's telling his stories through and there's a lot of times Brandon doesn't even have any kind of voiceovers. These are stories told visually. They're not like just travelogue type videos. They're complex. I mean, he's using a lot of cinematic techniques that are pushing his story. And there are even times where I realize, I don't even think that this is a real story, but the way you edit it and the way you capture people's eye lines and the sound weaving, it's just gorgeous. So if you want to learn about how to do audio with videos, you got to watch Brandon's work, because it's some of the best online as far as I think. And
Thank you
again,
so
like
much.
the equipment we have is liberating. It's great that it's so inexpensive compared to what it was even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. There's really nothing to stop you from creating something wonderful that you could share now within seconds. So we're living in some really cool times.
Eric, what is your website? Where do you want people to go to find you?
I have a blog, but I don't post on there very much anymore because I'm working so hard with newshooter.com. But I'm very active on my Facebook page. So it's Eric with a K, Naso, Naso, DP. Twitter, you can follow me over there. I like to post what's going on, and that's just Eric Naso. And same with Instagram. I'm on all the social platforms. My YouTube site is also Eric Naso. But my primary contributions are going to be with newshooter.com, and I travel a lot with them. I just got back from BVE in London, looked at some new camera gear. Actually sometime today, Blackmagic Ursa broadcast is going to be showing up, and I'm going to do a review on that camera, and I'm kind of excited about that because my background is journalism. I've been doing this broadcast stuff for let's just say over 20 years. And I've been here in San Diego for 18. And my background as a photojournalist really lends to me working more efficiently. I work at the speed of journalism. I don't work at the speed of a narrative DP. I can fix things on set quickly. I can light things quickly. I know what I want to do. And if it's not quite working out, I can switch on a dime and make things happen. And that's the kind of energy that I really like. I enjoy that kind of energy. I don't think I could be a narrative DP sitting around, setting up shot after shot and taking like a half a day to shoot, really like maybe three seconds or 3 minutes of content. So but that's sort of like in my world, it's kind of different because a lot of photojournalists don't cross over into that sort of production DP environment. But I greatly appreciate that I had that opportunity to do journalism.
Brandon, what's your favorite piece of gear this week, and where did you get all that great music from that Eric was talking about?
Sure. Well, first, thanks so much, Eric. So sound and music, so I get music from a few sources. For my YouTube videos, it comes from artlist.com, so it's art-st.com. And then for my Vimeo videos, a lot of the time I'll hire a composer. I've used my friend Steve Davis quite a bit Stephen Richard Davis. I don't know if he even has a website, but yeah, if anyone wants to message me, I'll be happy to pass along contact info for him if you like music. Like I did a video called Hong Kong Strong that he did the music for, and I think he's just brilliant, and he's done some amazing stuff collaboratively with me. You know, we're just sitting in a room together, and he's just creating these scores on his keyboard out of the thin air, you know, in a single day, like so much music. So yeah, I think music is so important to a video, and like kind of the mixing of the music and the sound effects and the story. And I'm generally always listening to music while I work, and that's how I kind of get inspired to shape the edit. And then I add sound effects. I actually started to add effects originally because I was sort of insecure about my shots. I thought my shots were either not composed that well, or I didn't know how to color grade them. I thought, hey, maybe I can distract people a bit by adding, you know, cool natural sound in the background, because I wasn't hearing that many other people add natural sound to their travel videos and stuff. So that was just a little bit of a way to differentiate it. And then it kind of grew into another kind of storytelling. You know, you can tell a story with sound effects, and you can really alter the feeling of a shot just by adding a different ambience in the background that people may not even notice in a literal way. Yeah, so that's that stuff. And then gear, just got the A7R III camera, which will probably remain relevant for about a month until the A7 III comes out. But for the time being, I love it. The thing I love about it is that the rolling shutter is not bad anymore. And I never had a GH5 or, you know, any of the Micro Four Thirds that shot up that 4K. So I'd totally forgotten how much I'd changed my filmmaking style to avoid rolling shutter. You know, always shooting on a gimbal or shooting very limited handheld. Like finally I can camera around again and not have to worry about the incoming a mess of yellow. So it's encouraged me to get out there and shell again and get some of that sort of life back into my shots that I feel like I'd kind of ironed out with gimbals for a long time because of the horrible rolling shutter in previous cameras. So yeah, that's my gear of choice.
The music, your
Yeah.
your audio clipped just as you were saying the music a little bit somehow. Art
list. So it's ART-list.com.
And is that automatically cleared?
.io. Sorry, it's late. Artlist.io.
Is that automatically cleared for YouTube, or do you have to clear it, or how does that work?
Yeah, once you've signed up for a subscription, it's a couple $100 US a year. You can use all their music for anything. You can download infinite music and use it for commercial, non-commercial, streaming, broadcast film, anything, as far as I know.
Josh, you want to tell us a little bit about your favorite gear of the week and any final words of wisdom here?
Yeah, I like what Tom said as far as your best gear is kind of the gear that you have. I used the Canon T2i for like years, and then about a year and a half ago, I finally got my Sony A7S Mark II, I mean, sorry, and I've been using that, of course, but I love Sony in general. I think Sony is kind of been killing it as far as any of their DSLRs. You go down even to like even their A6300 is just a really good DSLR. So in general, look at Sony. As far as any piece of advice, I would say don't get stuck in something that I call it quality blindness. I feel like I was told you shouldn't ever compare yourself to others, you know, be confident in your own work. I think it's exact opposite. I think you should always be looking at other people's work. I'm on Vimeo like for hours, you know, whenever I have time, and always be thinking, why doesn't my work look like this person's work? How can I reverse engineer this person's work to make my work look the same? Yeah, just always kind of be aware of where you're at as far as talent goes, and you'll be great.
Well, I want to
If I can just comment on that really quick. Sorry, 5 seconds. It's amazing what watching one video that you didn't want to watch can do for your perception, because you just click on that something random, and suddenly it's like, oh wait, I've been siloing myself in this little bubble of one kind of video, and if I just watch the the other video, now there's a whole new world of inspiration. And I find that all the time when I just click on something new.
Nice.
Anybody have any last words before I wrap this up? Well, I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank the sponsors, Pond 5 and LumaForge. Media Central has been a sponsor in the past, and thank them too very much. Our next episode is going to be March 27th, how to get grant money right here, free money. Thank you guys, and hold on as I go offline here.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Chuck.